Good morning, students. We're going to be looking at the political process this week and talking about public opinion. And what is public opinion? Well, public opinion is the collection of views that large numbers of people hold about issues of public concern. And you might ask, well, how does public opinion, and how does it relate to public policy? Well, public opinion helps direct or influence public policy. Individual opinion is influenced by such factors as family, friends, and age. And the media can help shape public opinion as well. Polls can measure public opinion, and there you have a synopsis of or summary of what we're talking about when we talk about public opinion. Next, we'll talk about interest groups, political parties, and electoral process, but that's for another day. What is public opinion? Well, it's the aggregate, that is the summation of views shared by a segment of society on issues of interest or concern. And there's a big word, I think, in your text, aggregation, which is a body or mass, a group coming together composed of many distinct parts or individuals. Public opinion is related to public policy. Public policy being the choices the government makes and the actions it takes in response to a particular issue or problem, often based on individuals and government's perception of the public problem. And then how is public opinion expressed? Writing blogs, writing letters, testifying at public hearings, marches, demonstrations, joining. But the most common way of expressing public opinion, the one that I would suggest, is voting. You need to do that when you turn 18. Well, how is public opinion, how does it form? Well, that is, the question is, how do we become politically socialized? Well, political socialization is defined as the process by which people acquire their political beliefs. What shapes your political beliefs? Well, one thing is family. What your mom and dad think probably affects your viewpoint. And this shapes our views concerning race, religion, and politics, as well as morals. And then the school that you attend here at FPD, as well as the work that you might do, will also influence you. Formally learn about government citizenship here in this class, what your peers think, the people that you are concerned about their opinion, that might influence you. And if you go to work, that's going to influence you as well. And there are some other personal factors like how old you are, race, gender, and religion. I was listening to a podcast or a fireside chat by Dennis Prager, and he said this is the question that every adult is asking. Every adult, you know you've reached adulthood if you can ask this question and answer it responsibly. How much is this going to cost you? And that how much public policy is going to cost you will affect the way you look at things. So you want to be asking that question. Media and public opinion will also influence your opinion. Mass media is a means of communication that provides information to a large audience. And you can think of them right off the bat. Internet, television, radio, all those are forms of mass media. Don't worry. Media impact. The media impacts public opinion and public policy in two ways. One, the media monitors, shapes, and determines the public agenda. And the media also covers electoral politics. They started off, we had only newspapers at one time, and newspapers and magazines influenced public opinion, but then came along radio and then television, and the impact has just grown. The growth of mass media in 1789, the first penny newspapers were coming out. The Gazette of the United States, Federalist, was leaned one way, and the National Gazette leaned the other way. And you may have heard them talk about the penny press, where you would buy a newspaper for a penny and find out the latest goings on. And then yellow journalism was from about 1895 until 1898, really got us into the Spanish-American War. And it peaked around the 1960s or 1970s. However, print newspaper, their readership has declined. In 2002, 41% of the population read a newspaper. However, by 2015, only 23% read the newspaper. And probably you don't read the newspaper. You get your news from radio or television or the internet, Twitter, things like that. Radio in the 1920s was the first form of electronic media, television in the 1950s, and then the internet came along in about 1991. In 1996, in 5 short years, 1 in 50 Americans got their news from the internet. But by 2017, 1 in 2 Americans got their news from the internet. And it's probably higher than that, as you could well imagine. The main source of news in daily life in 2016 was television. That's right. 51% got their news from television. And then 34% got their news online. 11% got their news from the newspapers. And just 4% got their news from the radio. The media does have an influence. They shape public opinion by covering issues and by not covering issues. For instance, right now you may know that Kim Jong-un is sick and he may be on death's door, or he may not be. The media is telling, they're covering that particular story right now. But another story they might not be covering is global warming or the price of oil and all kinds of. What I want you to understand is the media selects what they report on. And they have a certain type of coverage. They will focus more on personalities typically than issues. Or it may be vice versa. But the media selects the stories, and by their very selection, they influence what you know. Makes you kind of wonder what they're not reporting on. Anyway, there is a bias in reporting. Do not be naive. There is a bias in reporting. Fox leans to the right. CNN leans to the left. MSNBC leans to the left. There is no objective reporting these days, I'm afraid, so you have to be as objective as you possibly can and make your own decisions, do your own thinking. And that means you have to be equipped to think. There's, as I mentioned, the bias in story selection. They report on some stories, they do not report on others. There may be factual inaccuracy in the reporting. Media consolidation. We're going to talk about that. Consolidation means putting together. And so let's look at some of that. In media, most companies are privately owned. Only a small number of TV stations are publicly owned in America. And that means they're independent of what they can report. But it also means they're totally dependent on advertising revenues, what comes in. And increasingly, there are chains developing. These are massive media conglomerates that account for over 4/5 of the nation's daily newspaper circulation. That's just the newspaper. But these chains, these conglomerates, also control broadcast media. Let me show you what I'm talking about. National Amusements owns CBS, Columbia Broadcasting Systems. And not only do they own CBS, but they own Bet TV, they own Nickelodeon, Nick at Night, Paramount Home Media Distribution, Showtime, Viacom, all these, MTV are owned by CBS. So you're getting one perspective of when you watch the CBS News as well as when you watch MTV. What else do we have? ABC. ABC is owned by Disney. So when you get ABC News, this is a perspective that you're also going to see on ESPN. Oh, so if ABC is a liberal, probably ESPN is going to be as well. Also the History Channel. History. That can be biased as well. And Disney. What does Disney have in this fight? So Disney owns ABC, so you're not getting unbiased reporting. But wait, there's more. They also own Marvel Studios and Disney Life, Lucasfilm, Star Wars, ESPN, SEC, all of that have a particular political bent. Whatever Disney says, that's the kind of news they're going to put out on ABC and the other places. Touchstone Pictures. And then there's Time Warner, who owns CNN. And they also own HBO, Cinemax On Demand, the Cartoon Network, Adult Swim, CW, Turner Classical Movies, Hulu, Warner Brothers, as well as Time Life. And so that's going to be CNN. Did we say CNN? Yeah, CNN, Time Warner. And then Comcast. Comcast owns NBC, and they have a portion of Hulu, it looks like, MSNBC. Big Ideas, Focus World, I don't know. Sprout, tells I don't know that those are big names. Universal Channel, maybe. So, and then there's the News Corp, which owns Fox News. And of course, they're known for being more conservative, but that's just a small group. They own Fox News, BTN, Fox Movies, a few smaller products like that. And then they also own Financial News, Brooklyn Paper, Harlequin, Harper Collins Publishers. But what I want you to see is there are only a few groups, I think 6 in all, 7 possibly, that control the media. So if you think you're getting all the story, you're never getting all the story, because every one of those media outlets has their bias, not only in how they report it, but in what they in fact report. So what is the future of the media? Well, first of all, you need to recognize that more accessible news, Twitter, Facebook, etc., doesn't mean it's more accurate. In fact, it opens you up for more propaganda, statements meant to influence public opinion or promote a cause or viewpoint, particular cause or viewpoint. So be aware of that. Then there are polls. How do you measure public opinion? A poll is a survey of people scientifically selected to provide opinions about something that seeks to measure public opinion. There are all kinds of polls out there. Should President Trump be reelected? Who do you trust more, Biden or Trump with this coronavirus? Is it time to go back to work? Should the state be reopened? All things like that. All kinds of polling. And it involves a sample group, a group of people who take part in a poll. Sample must be adequate in size, chosen at random from the sample universe, and worded to avoid leading. You don't want to ask a question like, do you think Trump is arrogant? Well, of course, everybody thinks he's arrogant. So that's not the kind of question they would ask. Sampling error as a margin of error indicates a poll's accuracy. Scientific polling, you want to read over that in your book. Sample universe, random sample, the poll itself, and then the results and the margin of error, what all those mean. And then there is the evaluating the polls. There is bias in polling just as there is bias in the media. Objectivity is the freedom from bias and outside factors such as timing that may influence results. Polls may be used to shape public opinion in support of a particular group. In fact, they do. And